So finally, after a long wait, we have the OnePlus 8 in the house. Now this is the more affordable phone in the OnePlus 8 series. It is available for around rupees 45,000. I mean lower than rupees 45,000. And I'm sure that you guys are itching to know how it compares, how the cameras of this phone compares against its most formidable competitors, the iPhone SE 2020 and the Realme X50 Pro. Well, I'm Ershad from Mr. Phone, and that's exactly what I'm going to find out in this video. How are the cameras of these three phones? Well, editor, cue in the title. But before we move on, don't forget to hit that red subscribe button and the bell icon right next to it to get notified whenever Mr. Phone puts out an awesome new tech video. Also, we're building communities over at Telegram and Instagram, links to which should be in the description below. Now, unlike the OnePlus 8 Pro, the primary 48 megapixel sensor on the OnePlus 8 is the same old Sony IMX586, and you get ultra-wide and macro cameras as the extras. The iPhone SE has only a single camera to do all the heavy lifting. The Realme X50 Pro has the most versatile setup among these three, with a regular 64 megapixel sensor, an ultra wide angle camera, telephoto and depth cameras. Anyway, all the specs are on the screen for you to see. I shall move on to the pictures for now. Now we should start off with the wide daylight sample captured on the primary cameras of the three phones. The X50 Pro has the widest attached lens and can capture more of the landscape. One look at the pictures and you can tell that OnePlus goes for an overall cooler picture. The blues and the greens are exaggerated. The iPhone SE 2020 offers the coolest colors in real life. But when it comes to the center and corner sharpness, the Realme X50 Pro's 64 megapixel camera just kills it. I mean, it is just so crisp. Take a look at the speed limit sign at the center and at the bottom right corner for proof. So the pixel binned 16 megapixel samples are sharp AF on the Realme X50 Pro. The second crispest details is from the iPhone SE. Let's not forget about the high resolution modes on the X50 Pro and the OnePlus 8, and even in that scenario, the 64 megapixel X50 Pro is much crisper at closer crop compared to the OnePlus 8. However, the OnePlus 8 and the iPhone SE have the Realme X50 Pro beat when it comes to dynamic range performance. Take a look at the sun hitting the glass exterior of the building on the rear in the same set of pictures. In fact, let's take a look at another set of comparison pictures to confirm that claim. Ignore the extremely blue OP8 picture and you will see that it has great control over the highlights and doesn't blow it out. The iPhone SE, however, is the best of the lot. So when it comes to the colors and dynamic range, I would pick the iPhone SE, and for sheer details, the Realme X50 Pro is the best of the lot. Now, the Realme X50 Pro and the OnePlus 8 have dedicated ultra-wide angle cameras. However, OnePlus offers double the resolution and therefore is crisper across the board as far as details are concerned. The dynamic range performance is not too different on the two phones. I do prefer the more natural color reproduction of the X50 Pro though. Also, the Realme X50 Pro's wide angle camera has an attached lens that is a tad bit wider. All that said, the extra resolution could come in handy for ultra-wide shots, and therefore the OnePlus 8 would be my pick for ultra-wide pictures. Only the Realme X50 Pro has a dedicated 12 megapixel 2x telephoto camera, and the crispness just shows when compared to the 2x digital zoom of the iPhone SE 2020 and of course the OnePlus 8. So yeah, if you want a phone with a telephoto camera in this price range, the X50 Pro is the best option for you. Moving on to close-up samples, the first sample clearly shows how iPhone SE nails the colors. The OnePlus 8 comes in a close second, but the X50 Pro has definitely made the flower pink, which isn't the actual color that my eyes saw. In the second close-up, the iPhone SE 2020 reproduces the most accurate shade of yellow. The Realme X50 Pro's colors are off, and at closer crop, all the three managed to keep the eyes of the moth in focus despite the fact that it was moving. But the iPhone SE 2020 had the best focus lock-in speeds of the three. The OnePlus 8 continues to struggle with focus. Also, the OnePlus 8 tends to soft focus a lot, not just in close-up but even otherwise. I found it really hard to get a very sharp shot most of the times. Now, the OnePlus 8 has a dedicated 2 megapixel macro camera. The Realme X50 Pro uses the 8 megapixel telephoto camera for macro shots. Realme's camera offers crisper details and better colors as well. It is just rude for me to include the iPhone here, but it is to show what you're missing out on. I feel that OnePlus could have really avoided this 2 megapixel macro camera and added a telephoto camera instead. These 2 MP macro cameras are just pointless. When it comes to portrait shots, the iPhone SE does a much better job at edge detection and background blur compared to the other two. It makes the human subject look more attractive and natural. And I must say, it produces very close to DSLR-like images. The OnePlus 8 is not too bad, but again, it is no iPhone. Oh, and let's not forget that the iPhone can also create a plethora of portrait lighting effects that look damn cool. Realme has always been the champ at selfies, but this time it has a tough fight from OnePlus. The OnePlus 8 captures equally detailed selfies and more true-to-life facial tones. Plus, when you shoot against the light, it does a fab job once again. The competition is almost neck to neck between the X50 Pro and the OnePlus 8. However, the X50 Pro's trump card is the wide-angle selfie camera. This means you can fit more people into the frame. The iPhone SE captures good-looking selfies, but it tends to overdo the reds in my facial tone. Furthermore, the crop is a little too tight in my opinion. When it comes to the selfie portraits, I am looking purely from the perspective of edge detection and depth of field. The OnePlus 8 has a crisper cutout compared to the botched cutout on the left side of the beard on the X50 Pro. The iPhone SE is just a soft picture. It is a good selfie portrait, but the OnePlus 8 is better. Looks like the X50 Pro will have to share the best selfie camera on a budget flagship title with the OnePlus 8. Oh, what a pity. All the three phones can shoot 4K 60fps video. While you do get cinematic stabilization on the iPhone SE, you do not get the extended dynamic range when shooting at 60fps. Having said that, the details, the colors and the sound recording quality are the best on the iPhone SE. Hey guys, I'm shooting a 4K 60fps video using the iPhone SE 2020 and the OnePlus 8 right now. I'm holding like the sound recording is like, and of course the sound quality as I shoot directly into the sun now. The image stabilization and the colors as well, as I will now show you guys what it looks like. The gyro-based electronic image stabilization on the OnePlus 8 and the X50 Pro is almost as good as the iPhone SE's optical stabilization. I say almost because while panning the footage there is no jerkiness involved. Now the iPhone SE does tend to blow out the highlights in 4K 60fps recording. So if you're going to shoot against the light a lot, use 4K 30fps video quality on the iPhone SE 2020. You get extended dynamic range and the footage looks immediately better. You can clearly see it here. The OnePlus 8 and the X50 Pro definitely have one ace each up their sleeves. The phones can shoot ultra-wide angle videos. Here's the catch. The X50 Pro can only shoot 1080p 30fps video. The OnePlus 8 goes up to 4K 30fps. The OnePlus 8 is clearly the winner here. When shooting videos using the front camera despite the heavily cropped footage, the OnePlus 8 and X50 Pro stabilization attempts are awesome. But both the phones do cut a big chunk of my head off because it's a close crop. The iPhone SE is equally stable, but the footage looks kick-ass with more room for my big head to fit in. I can't really pick a winner for this round. However, I'm leaning towards the OnePlus 8 because it offers more details, has better dynamic range and very good audio quality, which is almost on par with the iPhone SE. Hey guys, now I'm shooting a video using the front camera on both the iPhone SE and the OnePlus 8. The image stabilization and the sound recording, and you can check for colors as well, of course, and tell me if you liked it against colors, and of course for sound recording as well, as I will pan around slightly and show you guys what happens. Indoors, the OnePlus 8 just bounces back in how. This sample right here has the best exposure and color temperature compared to the other two, especially the iPhone SE, which has made the overall image a little too warm. Also, when you look at the corner sharpness, the OnePlus 8 nails it. Overall, if I had to choose one picture for capturing shots indoors, it would be the OnePlus 8. When it comes to selfies taken indoors, all the three phones are cut for the task. Yes, but the iPhone SE continues to crop in too much, and I'm not a fan of that. The colors look most accurate on the OnePlus 8, but the X50 Pro is more detailed, and therefore the X50 Pro comes out on top. But you can use any one of these phones for indoor selfies and be satisfied with the results. Alright, now coming to low-light photography. Without night mode on, the iPhone SE 2 is a much sharper picture. Also, the color temperatures are just right. The building actually had a pink tone and not a green one, as you can see on the OnePlus 8 and the X50 Pro. With night mode on, you can see that the X50 Pro looks crisper and brighter. But don't let that algorithm fool you. A closer look is warranted here, because at 100% crop, you will see how unnatural artificial sharpening looks. The OnePlus 8 offers more details that looks much better in my opinion. Of course, most people won't care about pixel peeping, but technically OnePlus has a better nightscape mode that is more adept at multi-stack processing. You can tell that it is true because it is also better at dynamic range performance. In the second picture, let's take a look at the night mode sample. And here, once again at 100% crop, you notice a far more organic looking shot with crisp details on the OnePlus 8. In fact, I even like whatever the iPhone SE 2020 has managed. There is a lot of noise present in iPhone SE 2020 shot, but at least it doesn't look as soft and mushy as the Realme X50 Pro sample. I think Realme's noise correction algorithm is just too aggressive. And for flash photography, the iPhone SE has a clear lead with its quad LED flash on the rear. Just take a look at the pictures and you'll see the difference. You can see more details, plus it gets the color temperature right. Finally, coming to low light selfies, the Realme X50 Pro has a clear lead with the dedicated night mode. The selfies look much better. The iPhone SE 2020 doesn't do any noise correction, and the OnePlus 8 does a bit too much of it. With flash on, I like the iPhone SE 2020's very controlled look with no unnecessary exposure peaks on the face, and the even lighting all across my face looks pleasing. However, there is no denying that the Realme X50 Pro has the brightest screen flash here. In the end, the OnePlus 8 comes out on top in most testing scenarios in our camera comparison, but the result is not as simple as that, and it's a little more complex, especially because OnePlus 8 has a lot of glaring issues with its camera algorithm, and I must point that out. So what I'll do right now is actually break down the camera performance of all these three phones according to our testing, phone by phone. Now with the OnePlus 8, I have one specific problem, and that is the color processing. Now OnePlus tends to pick up the blues and the greens in the image algorithm, and therefore the entire picture ends up looking a lot cooler than I prefer it to be. Now this is a similar kind of processing that I saw with the Samsung Galaxy S5 back in the day, and that's not necessarily a good thing. Now the other problem with the OnePlus is that it struggles with soft focus. Most of the times I couldn't get crisp shots. Having said that, the dynamic range performance has been improved by leaps and bounds, and so has the contrast, which is not crushing the shadows anymore, which is pretty awesome. Now the other things that are good with the OnePlus 8 is definitely the wide angle cameras. The selfies are pretty good too, and the video performance is actually very good now, and plus you get a lot of extra features and options as well. Also, most importantly, I like the nightscape mode on the OnePlus 8 compared to the hack job that's on the Realme X50 Pro. Now the iPhone SE 2020 has a lot going for it. For example, the colors are almost near spot on, and the dynamic range performance is the best of the three. And of course, when it comes to video recording in this price range, you cannot get a better phone than the iPhone SE 2020. And let's not forget the fact that you also do get DSLR like portraits as well. Of course, I do miss the wide angle and the telephoto lens on the iPhone SE. I mean, that's the trade-off that you'll have to make. But if you can live with it, then you cannot go wrong with the camera of the iPhone SE 2020. Now, I know a lot of people are also worried about the fact that you don't get a dedicated night mode, but the low light shots by default are not that bad. Plus, you also have something like the Neural Cam app, which can do multi-stack processing and improve low light pictures by introducing a night mode. Now, when it comes to the Realme X50 Pro, it takes good pictures in most situations, but especially when it comes to selfies, it does an excellent job. Now, the dynamic range performance is not great on the Realme X50 Pro, but what it lacks for in dynamic range performance, it makes up for it with crisp and detailed 16 megapixel pixel bin shots from that 64 megapixel sensor. Also, for every budget flagship or any flagship or even a budget or a mid-range phone trying to do macro photography, take a leaf out of Realme's book. Realme actually uses the telephoto camera to do macro photography, so you get better resolution, and it makes more sense. What is the point of padding the specs page of a smartphone with a 2 megapixel macro camera when you can actually do that? So kudos to Realme. You know what? After evaluating all of these, I really cannot pick one winner out here. It's very difficult to do that. I mean, the OnePlus 8 definitely needs a software update soon so that it can pick up the color processing. Once it does that, it will definitely possibly turn out to be the best camera solution in this price range. But currently, it is definitely not. It has a lot of issues that it needs to solve. Now, when it comes to the iPhone SE 2020, I have a soft spot because most of the times I end up getting a good picture that I can use or put it up on social media. Now, when it comes to the X50 Pro, it takes great pictures too, and like I mentioned, it does a few things very, very well. So which one do you guys prefer? Do let me know in the comment section below. Until next time, this is Ershad from Mr. Phone signing off. Goodbye and Godspeed, my friends.